Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios, and I'm joined by David A. Fields. Hello, David.
Hello, Maria Isabel. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you too. Right, we're here to answer your questions that either you submit live or you've sent to us in different mediums, right, through the week about your consulting firms, how to strengthen, how to grow, how to create a more delightful firm leader experience for you. And thank you, Bradley, for submitting your questions. That's exactly the idea for today. Please send them early so that we can read them. It takes us a minute to see them. And as you've experienced, those of you who have been with us before, this is a very interactive space. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot, David, if that's okay. And let's see what question Bradley had for us this morning.
Yeah.
On
Well,
last week's
this one I'm prepared for because he asked a question that came up last week, and I know that Deidre had put this in the queue anyway. So 6-stage funnel for KPIs. Consulting firms should use to monitor 6 stages and what are the KPIs? Yeah, I'll do that. That's a good question,
right.
Bradley.
So what are the...
Wait. I want to know, Bradley, do you go by Bradley or by Brad? So you can put that in the comments also. That way we'll know. All right, Marissa, so, you'll see if I get this right.
Okay, so the question is, what are the 6 stages in a business development funnel? And what are KPIs?
Okay, folks, so 6 stages, and I'm not going to go through the whole crazy long explanation. I'll just do the 6 stages. So the first stage is just your dormant pool, where all of your network core sits, waiting for you to reach out to them. The next stage is reached out. So who have you reached out to? And I'll go through them, and I'll go back to the KPIs. The next stage is had conversation. Then you move over to identified opportunity, had context discussion or had your discovery conversation, and submitted proposal. That should be 6. Okay, so now we'll do benchmarks for each. How many outreaches have you done? So how many folks did you move from your dormant stage to your reached out? And depending on the state of your business, your own personal predilections and all of that, we would say a minimum of 5. We do have a client that talks to in excess of 60 people a week. That's more than most folks will do, but anywhere between 5 and 20 is a good outreach cadence. The next metric is how many of those folks respond to you. And so that if you're getting anywhere from 7 to 10%, that's a pretty good ratio. If 50 or 70% of people who you reach out to are responding to you, stop reaching out to your family and go to additional prospects. In those conversations, that's people responded and engaged in conversations. So now how many conversations, what percentage of conversations should turn up opportunities? And usually around 10 to 20%. We like to see 20% as the benchmark. But if it's shy of 10%, then there's something not going right. From there, now you're in pursuit. Now you have an identified opportunity. So going from an identified opportunity through discovery, which assumes you're now talking to a decision maker and all of that, should be about 80, 90%. You'll drop out some because it's not right time or you're not talking to the decision maker or whatever. From there to proposal should be most of them, 90%. And your last benchmark would then be your close rate. And anywhere from 50 to 80% on your close rate is a pretty good close rate. If it's a lot higher than 80, then your pricing isn't high enough in all likelihood. And if it's a lot lower than 50, there's something wrong with probably your discovery process. How did I do, Maria Isabel? Did I get the stages right?
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a couple of elements in here that to keep in mind, right? The first 3 stages where you're reaching out when people are on touch, meaning your network core, you're reaching out, you're looking to get into conversations. Those are stages where the metric does not refer to a company. It refers to an individual because your relationship is with an individual. So if you have 5 people at the same company who are either decision makers or influencers that belong in your network core, then you have 5 people that start in your untouched doormat. Whereas once you move into an identified opportunity, which means there's a potential project for you right there, then we think at a company level, right? The relationship then becomes more your consulting firm to their company.
Yeah.
Does that capture a nuance that hopefully helpful to for folks who are looking to track?
Yeah. So Brad, let us know. Did that help? Did we answer your question? And if you're not Brad and you want to say, wait, I have other questions on benchmarks and KPIs, then let them know. What's the benchmarks? 5 to 20 outreaches per week? Yes.
Yes.
5 to 20 per week. Exactly right. Awesome. Hey, look, right. Kevin asked a question too. What are some outreach tactics you would recommend using for B2B service providers? I think that, so we only know consultants. There might be other kinds of service providers. We can only speak about consultants. Now that many companies, clients are going into their annual planning cycle. All right, Maria Isabel, I was on the spot last one. You want to be on the spot for this one? How should folks, how should consultants think about, I assume, contacting?
I'm going to put on the lens of a consultant who is in B2B, right? Looking at prospects who are B2B firms or B2B service providers versus somebody who's strictly playing B2B. I think the conversation we just had about KPIs and the 6 stages of your funnel, it's something that's important year round, right? So if you're waiting for their planning cycle to start to reach out and warm up your connection, you may be too late. So part of it is it's all about your relationships with individuals who are decision makers and who are influencers to those decision makers, right? Who can either put you in front of the decision makers or advocate for a commercial relationship with you. And if you wait till they're all in planning, then you may be late, because it necessitates a certain amount of time for you to be top of mind, for that trust, for that knowing and liking you to be further cemented, so that as they think about their project, it's natural for you to come into the conversation. So I'm going to preface my answer, say, Kevin, think about timing perhaps a little bit differently, right? If you're not thinking about this earlier on in the year already, suggestion is start and make it part of a continuous approach to the market. And then it's all about meeting their needs. So the more you can be in a conversation and understand what's important and what's helpful, what's valuable to people, the more opportunities will come into mind. And those are the 2 thoughts I had at this point. David, what are you thinking?
Well, I think what I would layer on top of that in terms of tactics, which it sounds like, Kevin, you might be looking for, like, well, so how specifically do I get into these conversations? We have found the 1-1-1 outreach to be the most effective starting point to initiate a conversation, especially with folks that you already have some relationship with, but maybe they're a little cool. But interestingly, it's also turned out to be a pretty good starting point for much cooler, even cold contacts. So using straight up email and LinkedIn outreach with 1-1-1 messages is a good way to get the conversation started. And agree with Maria Isabel that now is a great time of year. And also it helps if you've already been in conversation for the rest of the year. So Kevin, does that make sense? And did we answer your question? Because if we didn't, then let us know so we can make sure to answer your question. And who else is listening? What other questions do you have? Let's get some other questions in here. And while we're waiting, Deidre, what else do you have in the magic bag of tricks? Or I don't know if I cut you off, Maria Isabel.
No, that's what I was going to ask. Okay. Do you want me to answer this question?
Sure,
do you want
Sure, yeah. Building, let's see, I'll answer. I'll ask it. Building the network has to have a certain level of value. Where do you draw the line between networking for referrals and networking for customers? So let's answer that. And if we can get through that, then it looks like Kevin's got a follow-up.
Thank you. All right. In a similar vein, right? You network to build relationships. So we may have a philosophically different approach to this question or this proposition. If you build prosperity out of stronger relationships. So part of whether it's networking for referrals or for customers, I'm not sure I quite understand the nuance there. We always advocate for you networking for stronger relationships. Now, there's a situation where your network may be so large that, say, in the span of a quarter, it's hard to get and touch everybody, right? So think of people that have over 300, close to 400 people in their network core and who don't have the ability, like our client whose example you were citing before, of doing 60 outreaches every week, right? Then you start with a little bit of a nuance and prioritizing your A1s, which are your warm relationships that are decision makers. But until you are in such a position, a conversation with a prospect, the prospect could one day be somebody who introduces you to somebody else, and the next day be somebody who has a project themselves. So nurture your network and always prioritize those who have warm relationship or warmish relationships that are either decision makers or influencers for the type of work you do. David, where do you land on this?
Well, I think it was funny for us, right? Because our entire orientation is wealth is relationship strength. And the orientation of the question was, well, networks are there for business purposes. So it was a little bit of orthogonal thinking just in terms of how we approach it. So yeah, that you build your networks and they're excellent. And maybe some of it turns to business ideally. And either way, you have relationships with people, and that's awesome.
Right.
So Kevin had a follow-up.
Right.
Want to assume clients are established clients and looking to reach out to find new opportunities. So Carol is often here and listening, hasn't posted a question this time. But I actually sent, Carol, if you're here, I sent you a one-liner to address this exact same thing this morning that Kevin's asking. So I'll do my best to recall what I sent. Because you can send a one-liner, Kevin, which is basically sounds something like this. Let's say Maria Isabel is client, and I know she's going into planning season. I'll send a one-liner, say, hey, Maria Isabel, is it worth us jumping on a conversation to talk about 2025 and what you've got coming up for the year? That's it. And, go on.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just saying, you'll get back or not, but probably you'll get back with something. What were you going to add, Maria Isabel?
We have some clients that also have it embedded in their cycle that as part of their periodic reviews around this time of the year, they will do a forward-looking discussion, right? They will have a forward-looking discussion. So clients also come to expect, we're around September, October. This is the time where we also sit with Kevin and we start thinking, how does 2025 look like in terms of continuing, starting, modifying, stopping work that you're doing or identifying where their needs are and doing a prioritization again of your work with them.
Yeah.
All right.
VR's got a question also, but VR, we're going to end up saving this for next week because we won't be able to do it justice. What I will tell you is, and you can give us a little bit more color, maybe behind the scenes, email us. There is no such thing as a process or an approach that's only open to large consulting firms and not open to small consulting firms, with a possible exception of implementation that requires a lot of boots on the ground. But that's not the kind of business you want to be in anyway. So shy of that, there's nothing that a large consulting firm is doing that you can't do also. Just because you are a solo consultant does not mean you are alone. And with that note, we should wrap up because, oh my gosh, we've already almost burned through 15 minutes. So thank you for spending this 15 minutes with us. couple notes before you go. On the off chance you don't have Monday Live in your calendar, there, Deidre put it over there. Put Monday Live in your calendar so you're with us every week, because we like to see you, and you make Mondays more valuable. If you don't subscribe yet, subscribe, get the articles every week. They're awesome. Last thing, if you happen to be running a 7-figure practice, there are a group of us that own 7-figure practices that are getting together in January, and it's going to be great. It's a small group. And if you like exchanging ideas and talking with other firm owners, come join us. So look at Boutique Consulting Forum. And that's it. Appreciate you being here. Rizabel, it's always good to see you. And it was good to see the rest of you. Have a fabulous week. Remember, consulting's about them. It's about your clients. It's about your prospects. So give them value and give them kindness. And we'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Take care.